Shrutismritipuranam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavadpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururātmeti Muktibheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sadashivasamārambhām Shankaracharya-madhyamām Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yeah, we're looking at verse number 20. Bhagavad Gita Kinchidadhita Ganga Jala Lava Kanika Pita Sakridapi Yena Murari Samarcha Kriyate Tasya Yamena Na Charcha. So this verse is attributed to one disciple called Dridha Bhakti. So here's the message that is conveyed in this verse is even if one spends a little time on spirituality, then there is tremendous benefit. So the idea is not to say that it is enough if you spend very little time, because that's what it seems to mean, at face value. So the verse says, Bhagavad Gita Kinchidadhita. So even if one were to study or were to read the Bhagavad Gita even a little bit, Kinchit. Ganga Jala Lava Kanika Pita. So even if one were to take a small sip of water, a sip of water from the Ganga, Sakritapi Yena Murari Samarcha. So, and then one who has performed, one who has worshipped Lord Krishna, even a little bit. Kriyate tasya yamena na charcha. So one does not have to confront the Lord of Death. So here Murari means Lord Krishna. But there is another way of looking at the word Murari. It means one who is the enemy of the Asura Mura. So Mura can also mean the ego. So the ego is demonized here, because ego is the fundamental problem. So one who is the enemy of the ego. That means one who helps destroying the ego. So that is, so if one studies the Bhagavad Gita, then naturally the ego is sublimated. The importance or the force of the ego reduces. So that is why worship of Murari means worship of the destroyer of the ego, which is Lord Krishna again. So that is another meaning of the word Murari. So Sakritapi Yena Murari Samarcha. So one who has at least worshipped Lord Krishna once, that person does not have to deal with the Lord of Death. Means one has to, if one has to deal with the lot of death, then it means one is strongly bound to the ego, bound to the individuality, bound to the body mind. So you have to come back again and again. So you die and then you come back, and the process repeats itself. So the question is, why should I not die? Why should I not come back? Because life is always going to be a mixture of good and bad, pleasure and pain. And we have no idea where we will be born in the next lifetime. Whether it is going to be in, very enjoyable circumstances, or it is going to be in difficult circumstances. So that is why the goal of spirituality is only being free from this cycle of birth and death. So that is why here he says, Kriyate tasya yamena na charcha. So you do not have to deal with the lot of death, because once the body drops, then there is no one to take away. Because consciousness cannot be captured, or consciousness cannot be taken hold of. Only the jiva, the ego, the consciousness which has been limited by the ego, that alone can transmigrate from one body to another. So we will look at it, at a later point. So this is, when a person gains this knowledge, then the person does not have to come again, does not have to be born again. And then this idea is built upon a little more in the next verse also. Verse number 21. Punarapi jananam punarapi maram punarapi janani jathare shayanam iha samsare bahudustare kripaya pare pahi murare punarapi janarapi maram punarapi janani jathare shayanam इह संसारे बहुदुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे भज गोविंद भज गोविंद गोविंदम भज मूढ़मते. So this verse is attributed to one disciple called Nityanatha. So if one goes into the grip of Lord Yama, then it means that person is still ignorant, so he has to come back. She has to come back. So punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. So again you have to take birth, again you will die. And both taking birth and dying are very painful. That is the idea. So we don't think about it much. So just imagine being in a mother's womb for months together in that fetal position where you don't even see light and you are floating around in filthy stuff. So that's why when the baby comes out, immediately the baby has to be cleaned. So for the people outside, they may be celebrating, they may be waiting for the baby, and they may be celebrating the birth of the baby. But for the baby itself, so it is an extremely painful time, difficult time. So just imagine. So all of us have done that, and thankfully we have forgotten. So that time, if we remember the time we were in the womb, then definitely we would not want to be in that situation again. So it is an extremely painful time for months together. So especially I think around the fifth month or sixth month. So the baby is sufficiently formed. So then you have to, for 4 months, you're just in the mother's. So that is why in the Shastra it is repeated again and again. Or the Shastra asks, do you really want to go through that experience again and again? And after birth also, for the first 3 months, you cannot even turn on your, I mean, turn. And then you're dependent upon someone to lift you. So all that you can do is just cry. And then hopefully someone will come and feed you. So thankfully, mothers take care of the child because of their own attachment for the child. But as far as the child is concerned, it is in a totally helpless situation. And then while you can turn, and it takes months for you to even crawl, to learn to crawl, and then stand up. And as long as you are an infant and even a child, you have to listen to what everyone says, anyone says. You have no freedom, absolutely no freedom. So someone asks you to stand up, you have to stand up. Asks you to sit down, just like a ringmaster. People treat you like as though they were ringmasters. So you have to do what anyone else, all the others say. So that is why the Shastra asks, do you want to really go through that? So instead of that, finish the job here. No one is saying that you will disappear. So this lifetime will continue for as long as your prarabdha lasts. But then, if you finish the job, you can enjoy this lifetime also. And then you don't have to come back. But people always tend to assume that it is good to be born again and again. When you really examine the whole process of taking birth, then it's not really a very enjoyable experience. And even life, throughout life, you should be really lucky to be born in a place where you have everything that you ask for. See, we all are nostalgic about our childhood. That is because we don't know anything else. But as a child, if you ask, then the child will say there are a lot of things that could be better. See, about the past, that is the capacity of the mind. That's the fortunate. Because the mind easily forgets pain. It only remembers the enjoyable moments. So wherever you have been, whatever you have experienced, so the enjoyable moments are only retained usually. The painful moments are forgotten generally. There is little memory, but most of it is forgotten. That's how the mind deals with it. So, in the next Janma, if you have a prarabdha, like you are born in a place where the circumstances are extremely difficult. Like I was um, watching a web series, so called Walking in the Himalayas. So, Walking in the Himalayas on Discovery Channel. If you can, please watch it. So, in that web series, this person, so he's a Britisher. He starts walking through the Himalayas, starting from Afghanistan, and then he goes through Kyrgyz. And when you see those places, there are people who live there who have never seen a tree, who never see a tree in their entire life. There is no tree at that altitude, there is no tree. And then 50% of the children die by the time they are 5 years old. 50%. And then the life expectancy of males is 40 years. And the life expectancy of females is 30 or 32 years. So that is how life is in some places. So these places really exist on the earth, and they are also human beings. And what is the guarantee that I will not be born there in a place like that? Maybe not such difficult places, but in other difficult circumstances, I could be. So that is why the Shastra says, make sure you don't come back. And for that, knowledge alone is the solution. And even in one lifetime, so the healthy part of your life is very short. And then if you manage to survive for a long time, live a long life. Old age is also difficult. So there are difficulties that come with old age, there are problems. So you have to tolerate, and you have to go through all that pain. So the Shastra asks whether it is all worth it. And there is no perfect life. So one will never have a life where there is only joy, where there is all fun. So the process of being born, the gestation period, you cannot avoid. And then growing up difficulties, you cannot avoid. And then old age, you cannot avoid. Then what is the whole point? I mean, what is the benefit in coming back? So as though we are going to accomplish something so great that humanity will remember us. No, none of us can accomplish anything too big. So a little bit here and there, we may manage to do something. But the world will survive even if we are not there. So that is why here this verse also asks, Punarapi, it says, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. So you have to be born again and you will die. Both are painful. Death is also painful. When you die, it is very painful. Punarapi Janani Jatare Shayanam. So again, going through that gestation period, Jatare Shayanam. So going through the gestation period is also very painful. Again, just imagine in all that filth. So you will be floating around for months together in the mother's fluid. So what all is there, you don't know. Thankfully, you keep your mouth closed. You don't open the mouth. Some babies, sometimes what happens is they choke also. If the mouth is open, then the fluid goes in. They don't normally, but rarely, I think it may happen. So the baby can choke. And then coming out of the mother's womb, that is also so painful. So you're pulled from, your head is pulled using forceps or something like that. It is painful for the mother, it is painful for the child also. And if something goes wrong, if the head doesn't come out first, then the baby will die. So after going all this trouble, so then you may not even survive. Or born in a place like Kyrgyz. So by the time you are 5 years old, you will die. So that is the life expectancy in Kyrgyz. So this is, and even if you manage to survive whole lifetime such difficult conditions, you don't see a tree. Those people, they never see a tree in their entire life. Just imagine. And what all they eat, you can't even imagine. So in that episode, they're showing that this person who is walking, this Britisher, so they're offering the food that they are eating. And eating the ice is a delicacy, it seems. So eat the ice and then eat the brain. And he describes it's all creamy stuff, he says. So just imagine how it would be to do all of that. So better don't leave anything unfinished. So that's why earlier also it was said, Bhagavad Gita Kinchid Adhita. So have your priorities clear. This is a wonderful opportunity that has been given. So have your priorities clear. Don't waste your time on the earth, this time that has been given. You can do all that you need to do. You don't have to deny yourself these small pleasures. Nothing of that sort. But at the same time, have the Purushartha very clear. Purushartha means the ultimate goal very clear. The goal is not becoming wealthy or making too much money or accumulating property or nothing is the goal. Nothing of that sort is the real goal. The goal is only to know myself. The rest of it all is incidental and not the primary goal. So then he says, Iha samsare bahudustare. So here, this samsare, in this samsara means in this travel from one body to another. Bahudustare. It is extremely difficult to cross over. Kripaya pare pahi murare. So hence, hey Murari, one who destroys the ego, please take pity on me. Kripaya. Kripaya apare pahi murare. So save me from that samsara which does not have an end, which is going to keep on continuing eternally until we put a stop to it. So as long as the ego is there, then samsara will continue. So no one is going to say that okay, you have come back so many times, so it is enough. So Bhagavan will not say, I'm tired of seeing you again and again. So he does not say that. So he can say the same jiva, this fellow comes back again and again and again and again. So even the Almighty may get tired of looking at this fellow. Why are you coming again and again? Why don't you just quit? So he doesn't say anything like that. He just says, okay, you want to come back, it is your choice. So there is no one stopping you, and you keep coming back. So please protect me or save me from that samsara which does not have an end until I stop it. So this is a very popular verse. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam. So generally we don't understand this completely. So to hear it being sung is also nice to hear. So we just leave it at the level of hearing some nice music. But actually this is a very sincere pleading from the heart that let me not come back again and again. Please save me. In fact, they also say, somewhere it is said, that when the moment the child comes out of the mother's womb, or while the child is inside the mother's womb, so the child is thinking that let me at least finish this job in this lifetime. So let me not forget what I'm born for. So that is the earnest um, the seeking of the child before it comes out. But because of Maya Shakti, what happens the moment the child comes out, the moment it touches the ground, then everything is forgotten. All the difficulties of being in the womb are forgotten. So till then you're desperately pleading. But the moment I come out, so I forget everything. So then I get caught up in so many things throughout my life. And then finally, when I'm old, then I look back and then think whether it was all worth it. So where did all the time go? Because time just flies. So we are going from birth to death at breakneck speed. Really, we may think we are living for a long time. So even if we have lived for 60, 70, 80 years, so we may think it's a long time. But when you look back, it is just rushing at breakneck speed. So you feel like just now you finished school, but then you're married, have a couple of children, and then so you are approaching middle age. So before you can completely take hold of that. then you're 50 or 55. So this life just moves at breakneck speed. So utilize it properly. And then by the time you realize you're old and one foot in the grave anyway. So this is why he is desperately begging. So Kripaya Pare Pahi Murare. Hey Murari, destroyer of the ego, please protect me from this endless samsara. So verse number 22. रथ्याचर्पट विरचित कंथः पुण्या पुण्य विवर्जित पंथः योगी योग नियोजित चित्तः रमते बालोन्मत्तवदेव रथ्याचर्पट विरचित कंथः पुण्या पुण्य विवर्जित पंथः योगी योग नियोजित चित्तः रमते बालोन्मत्तवदेव भज गोविंद भज गोविंदम गोविंदम भज मूढ़मते. So here it talks about the greatness of a person who has given up desires voluntarily. So who is just living on the bare minimum. So earlier also one verse that talked about the one who is always reveling in this knowledge. Here also it talks about kasya sukham na karoti viragaha. So here also it talks about a person who does not really crave for anything. So rathya charpata virachita kanthaha. So one who drapes a shawl which is made of different torn clothes stitched together. So that kind of a shawl. So not even a good shawl. But that person is at peace. Rathya charpata virachita kanthaha. Punya punya. So rathya means on the road. So lying on the road, these pieces of cloth lying on the road, someone takes it and then stitches for this person. And this person just drapes it around him. And he is completely happy with that. So does not ask for designer clothes or branded garments. So punya punya vivarjita panthaha. Who does not care about punya or papa. See, generally, we tend to think that accumulating punya is a very good thing. So punya is a good thing in comparison to papa. So you should avoid doing anything that would make you incur papa. So punya is better. But even punya is not desirable in terms of one's own moksha, one's own freedom from this cycle of birth and death. Because if there is a lot of punya, then you have to exhaust or experience that punya. See, there is a saying in the Shastra. So which says that karma phala is avashyam bhavi. So it has to be necessarily experienced. Whether it is punya, good or bad. So you accumulate a lot of punya. Then also you have to be there as an individual to experience that punya or enjoy that punya. See, again, one accumulates punya only if activity is done with the ego. So someone does some noble deed, but that is done with the ego. So with that, I am doing it. So you want credit for it. You want to be, you want to have credit. Then that is given in the form of punya. So you may experience it in some other lifetime in this human body, or you may experience it in some other loka, some other world. So after death, wherever you travel, you may experience it there. So the one who wants to be free doesn't want punya also, so performs activity without any expectation of even punya, the desire of even punya. So that is why it is said here, punya apunya vivarjita pantha. So as far as the seeker is concerned, then it is advised that you should do activity which may bring punya, but your intention should be to convert that punya into gaining the preparedness of mind for this knowledge. See, that punya either can be experienced or it can get converted to your mental preparedness. The same punya, noble deeds, can give you more mental preparedness. So that is the intention a seeker does any activity. Not for punya, but only for chitta shuddhi. So that is how karma, that is what is karma yoga. So this person who is not interested in coming back, who is interested in moksha, that person is not concerned about punya or papa. Papa naturally, he naturally avoids. Because if you have a tendency to perform activities that would incur papa, then one is not even ready for this pursuit. So papa one avoids, and even whatever punya is there in one's account from before, that is also one gets cut off because the ego is given up. So only as long as the ego is there, the connection is there with one's karma. The ego is destroyed using self-knowledge, the knowledge of who I am. So naturally, one's connection with one's karma is also cut off. If the ego is there, then the connection will be retained. So we have so much baggage connected to us. So one is sanchita karma and the other is prarabdha karma and agami karma. Sanchita means all the karma that we have accumulated in all our previous lifetimes. So that is the total collection. And from that sanchita, a small portion comes and it gives us this body and these life experiences. So that is prarabdha. So a general framework. And while we are in this body, in this human body, then when we perform activity, we accumulate more karma phala, whether it is punya or papa. And then that also gets added to the sanchita, to the total after I die. And then from the mixed up total, a small portion again produces another body. So this is how the cycle continues. So, but for a person who wants to be free, that connection is cut off because there is no more ego remaining. So, punya, apunya, vivarjita panthaha. So, this traveler so walks without any value for either punya or papa. But until then, we need to be careful about avoiding papa. Yogi yoga niyojita chittaha. So yogi, this wise person, yoga niyojita chittaha. So one that is always reveling in the absolute. Ramate balavat eva, unmattavat eva. So then he moves around either like a child without worrying about anything. So that is childlike behavior, not childish behavior. That is why sometimes people find it fashionable to want to become a child again. Actually, it may sound very nice, but it is not very desirable because the whole world will be controlling you. There is no freedom at all. But here the behavior is like a child without any worry about the future. So you're just enjoying today for whatever it's worth, not worrying about what is going to happen to. So Balavat. And then another comparison is also given, Unmattavateva, like a madman. So not that I should become mad, like because the madman also does not worry about what is going to happen. So generally we spend a lot of time in worrying. Vriddhastavate chintasaptaha. So old age is spent in worrying continuously about what happened before or what is happening now. So this person has no worry of any kind. So that's a very desirable state of mind to be in. So you don't worry, you don't have any stress, you don't have any anxiety. A mad person does not have any stress. And a child also has no stress, no anxiety, no fear. So as adults, we may try to put in some fear into the child. But up to a certain point, till about 4 or 5 years old, there is no fear. So child is very it is very sure that the mother will take care and it will be taken care of. That is why it sleeps so peacefully at night. So Ramate Bala Unmattavateva. So this kind of comparison is given in other places also, like in the Karika, that is a kind of commentary for the Mandukya Upanishad. So Shankaracharya's guru's guru. So he says this person who has known the truth, then that person moves around like a jada. Jada means someone who is unaffected by everything. Generally, it is used in a derogatory connotation. So don't be like a jada. So, but here jada, that person is unaffected by whatever is going around that person. So jadavat lokam acharya. And without demanding any respect, without without demanding any praise. So this person just enjoys, revels in his knowledge. So tattvam adhyatmikam. So seeing the truth within oneself and outside as the same. So one just revels in that understanding. So the same idea is conveyed here also. So balavat unmattavateva, just like a child or just like a madman. This person does not bother about who is there, what is happening. Where generally when we are self-conscious, so we are always bothered about, or we are excessively concerned about what others will think of us. That is a big problem. Always we are bothered about what our self-image, self-esteem. So how I present myself. Because what others think about me becomes extremely important to me. So from a professional life or from a relative standpoint. But for a Brahmagyani, what others think about this person is completely immaterial. In fact, a whole life we do a lot of things to live up to others' expectations. My parents wanted me to do this. So I have to prove myself or do it for them. Or the society wants me to do this. So we are always proving ourselves, which is a complete waste of time. So trying to live up to the expectations of other people. So, or the expectations of one's family or one's spouse. It's a complete waste of time. So whole life people are driven by others' expectations. Subconsciously. So we are all products of our upbringing. So whether my father will appreciate this, or whether my mother will appreciate this, or whether my friends will appreciate this, or society will appreciate this. So that is how we take a lot of decisions also. So, but this person, he does not care. So let the whole world go to hell. I don't really care. So I do what I want to do, what I feel is right. So then we may ask, is it a good idea to think like that, to be like that? The Shastra says it is. So just completely ignore the world outside. It is difficult. I mean, it takes time. Takes time to get out of this mindset of living up to others' expectations. So what will this person think of me if I don't have such a lifestyle, then others won't respect me. So if I don't have these possessions, then others won't respect me. That is because I have always been raised to think that my possessions alone define who I am. So they decide my self-worth. So I'm worthless if I don't do this, if I don't have this career, if I don't reach this position in my career. So I throw everything, all that I have, into somehow accomplishing it. So, but here this verse says that it is a waste of time. Don't ever be controlled by others' expectations. So just be like a child. The child does not bother whoever is around. So you're just running around. You're not thinking what others will think of me. Parents may be thinking, but the child doesn't. And a madman also does not think, does not care. So that's why these two examples are given. Balavat unmattavat eva. Just be your own person. So that is one of the reasons people take sannyas also. You're just tired of living up to others' expectations. So because it at some point you want to throw it away. So be free of that burden, living up to others' expectations. It's a complete waste of time. So doing something because I want to look good in the eyes of someone. So some people who have a very dominating father, so they have that problem. Because whole life they are struggling to satisfy the expectations of the father. Or a dominating mother. Sometimes it can be positive, but still one has to grow out of it. Like I was recently seeing this biopic on Sania Nehwal, so the Indian badminton player. So her whole force behind her success was her mother, primarily. So she pushed her to be the best. She took her to the academy when she was the child. And then she also had it in her, so she went along with it. So she was able to achieve, I'm not saying. But for many times, what happens is we forget about what we really want to do. And then just end up satisfying others' expectations. In that case, in Sanya Nehwal's case, it ended up being positive. But most of the time, it does not end up being very positive. So one has to grow out of that. That's what this verse is trying to say. So Ramate Bala Unmattavadeva. So Balavat Unmattavadeva. The next verse. Verse number 23. Kastvam koham ta ayataha kame janani ko me tataha iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishvam tyaktva swapna vicharam. कस्त्वं कोऽहं कुत आयातः कामे जननी को मे तातः इति परिभावय सर्वमसारम् विश्वं त्यक्त्वा स्वप्नविचारम् भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते. So then here this verse is attributed to someone called Nityananda. So then he advises as to what should be the line of inquiry. Kaha tvam. So who are you? Kaha aham. Who am I? How did we just land up here? From nowhere. So we take it for granted. So we think we are supposed to be here, we are destined to be here. So, but then what decides my destiny? Then that will make you inquire. So here just pointing out the line of inquiry. If one takes it for granted, then there is no inquiry. If you don't take it for granted, then there is inquiry. So why are these things happening to me? So a lot of some things I seem to be able to plan for it. But a lot of things happen just like that without even planning. So how do they happen? What makes such experiences? What makes me go through such experiences? And then kame janani kome tatah. Kuta ayatah. Kastvam koham kuta ayatah. So where did I just land up? From where? Kame janani. So who is my mother? How did this person, how did I, how was I, how am I born to her, born to this person? See, there are so many people. So I could have been born to anyone else. So who decides that I should be born to this person? Then that will lead you to inquiry into karma and sanchita, prarabdha, and all of that. And again, here, this will also help us resolve my relationships. So make peace with my relationships. So my parents and then people who are very close to me. So I have to make peace with all of that. So kame janani kome tataha. So if the mother is a difficult mother, then also you start questioning, why did I choose this person as my mother? Why not someone else? So same thing with father. So why this father? So why could I not have chosen a better father? So sometimes you tend to think like that. So ko me kaha me tataha. Iti paribhavaya sarvam asaram. So in this manner, inquire or examine. Sarvam asaram. So all that is useless, all that is of no value. Vishwam tyaktva swapna vicharam. So, and just discard the whole world as 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 much only as much real as a dream. So this is an important dream is a very important example that is used in Vedanta. So it is even Vedanta says that even the experiences that we have while we are awake are in fact not very different from what I dream. They are not much more real than a dream. So there is a lot of logic that is given also to prove that. So waking is also like a dream. Then just as one is able to dismiss a dream after one wakes up, with knowledge, you are able to dismiss your waking also like a dream. So otherwise, you have given it too much reality and you are bound to the waking life. If you are able to inquire, then you are able to dismiss it as a dream, just like we are able to dismiss a dream. So that's what this verse says. We'll stop here and continue. Om Namadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.